Excellent. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I think we have people from all over the world here. Saturday morning, we had an announcement, didn't we, that we had launched EMULIN in Valentis. Oh, look at Ricky and Claudia. He's so cute. Oh my goodness, you guys are so cute. I'm so excited for Valentis, and I know it's really, there's a lot of information that we have to, share with you, and it's going to take into some time. So don't beat yourself up about it, because we've been taking EMULIN for almost 3 years, and when I first got started, I put about 100 people on EMULIN to try it, and I honestly didn't think that I would see the results that I did so quickly. It was so astonishing and so exciting that I just thought, this can't even be possible. Like, how can this little supplement do this for people? And it became like a frenzy, like a feeding frenzy. And I know that's what's going to happen here at Valentis once we have all of the information that we need. But we are in pre-launch. So I'm going to just go over a few details about the pre-launch so that you understand where we're at right now with that. So we did launch on Saturday, and at 1 o'clock the product became available. And it was, a lot of people that had already used EMULIN were calling and saying, I can't see the label, and is it the M or the C? And they were getting all confused. So what I want you to know is that it's all being handled, and Dr. Ahrens, business manager Jennifer, is going to take care of putting that into perspective with Dave Jordan tomorrow, because we honestly put this in the arena for you right away, and it was a difficult thing to do, if like that in a heartbeat. And of course, the product is ordered, it's in production, and Dr. Ahrens will share more about that with you. But I just don't want you to be upset about any of the details right now, because we really want this pre-launch to run as smoothly as possible. Most importantly, we just really care that you start taking EMULIN, and it's going to change your life, everyone you touch, everyone you know. And we know the fact that every single person needs EMULIN. So when you know that, it's pretty easy to know what your target audience is. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Ahrens right away, and we're going to have some testimonials in about 10 or 15 minutes, if we can do that, and then we'll try and get some questions answered. So thank you so much for those of you that don't know me. My name is Dr. Jorgensen. I'm thrilled to be here. If you're not muted, could you please mute yourself, because I forgot to mute everyone. And we want this quiet so that we can hear everything Dr. Ahrens has to share with us. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, or whatever it happens to be, wherever you are. Right here, it's evening. I'm in the Bahamas, so I got my Bahamas shirt on here just for this occasion. And it's a little after 8 p.m. here. I'm really glad to be here. We had a great weekend. I'll recap a couple of things. We've been talking about making EMULIN available for everyone as much as we can. We had a little trouble with a previous distributor, and so we opened up a site. ATM, my company, ATM Metabolics, opened up a site so we could get some out to people that needed it before we could get into a new distributor. And we just called it M and C. And we think that everybody that was using that product would know what that stood for. And so the site just had was no frivolity or anything. It just said M or C. Well, then just about a week ago, Wednesday, we're not talking a long time here, a couple of weeks, I went out to South Dakota and talked with Dave Jordan in Valentis, and after being there a couple of days, we struck a deal that we thought everybody would be happy. Valentis has indeed taken over EMULIN. And he is pretty overjoyed over it. Of course, thank you very much, Janet Jorgensen, for spearheading this and making really this business available for everyone here. Well, immediately I got back home, and Dave Jordan said, well, we're going to take every product you've got. We've got to get it out to people as soon as possible. So we actually had our warehouse ship all of the EMULIN M and C that we have to Dave Jordan, Valentis in South Dakota. And it just arrived there like Thursday and Friday morning before he made the announcement on Saturday, and said, you know, here, we've got this product right here. It's the last available that Dr. Ahrens, had, and he shot it out to everyone. So I think in that push rush on Saturday, figuring out it was M or C. Yeah, there's M there and there is C there. And so maybe by the morning, we'll have that figured out instead of not knowing which one is which. At the same time, Valentis has put in orders for brand new batches of EMULIN to be made, EMULIN M and C as we need it. We actually have around 6,000 bottles of C on hand, so there should be enough C right now until we then will manufacture EMULIN C. So we plan to do M and C, and like I say, we have around 6,000 C on hand and 2,000 or 3,000 M. We knew we were running out of M first, so we went ahead and made a brand new batch of about 20,000 bottles of EMULIN M. As soon as we get that run through, then we'll start on the C. So I think that we're going to have plenty for everybody just over the weekend, and especially Mother's Day. People are wondering, what in the world was that EMULIN, and which one was it? You'll be able to get both of them. I'm really glad for Dave Jordan really taking the bull by the horns here and pushing this out to the Valentis family. You know, EMULIN, for most of you know this, but EMULIN is like a newly discovered vitamin. Everybody needs it, every single person, you know, from cradle to grave, you know, womb to tomb. I thank you, Eileen, for telling me that. Womb to tomb, yes, everybody needs it. It's like a vitamin, so everyone, regardless whether you're an athlete or a couch potato, you think you're in good health or you think you have some issues, take EMULIN. It will support your body's immune system, and everything your body does, it will help it do better. It actually will help it do what it was meant to do. So it not only will help your body reduce blood sugar and help your body overcome inflammatory issues. Even if you get poison ivy, you'll see that you recover from that quicker. Bee stings, broken bones mend quicker in half the time that you're used to. Not because EMULIN heals broken bones, not because EMULIN reduces diabetes. No, we do not cure any diseases. But your body has been lacking this vitamin-like compound for your whole life, for the last 1,000 years or so of humans growing plants. It's been lacking in your diet, and therefore we're all a little run down. We're all having chronic inflammation. We don't heal like we should. We get too many colds, too many aches and pains. You'll see, give people EMULIN. They'll get back on track where they were. Their body will rebalance where it should be, and their whole life will be healthier. It actually makes you all you can be, just like that old U.S. Army commercial. Be all you can be. Take EMULIN, and you'll be as healthy as you can be. I think we might have some questions, Jana. I don't know if we ought to move into questions right now, or if we go to testimonials, or some people have further questions about the distribution. Why don't you give me a clue here of how I should go here?
Yes. Okay. I think that's true. I think we'll have a lot of questions. So what I'd like to do, though, is start out with the testimonials, because they also might lead into questions. They're very, very interesting. So I'd like to start out this evening with Mr. Alan Grant out of Australia. Now, Alan is one of our fabulous leaders from our former company who has just come out of the hospital. He just had some surgery, and he is here so you can see what EMULIN does, and I will let Alan tell you his story. So Alan, could you unmute yourself, please?
Just did.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Joe. I have provided my story to other people, and it's been very helpful. But just to recap, I am an Aussie, so listen carefully to the accented testimonial. I had suffered for many, many years a very debilitating and painful affliction called trigeminal neuralgia. Anybody can Google that and they'll find out that it's mooted to be one of the most painful conditions that you can get. There's not a lot known about trigeminal neuralgia other than the pain sufferers themselves, and many of them, it's been so painful, many of them have actually committed suicide. There is, in Australia and in the US, there is an association for comfort, which I attended, and I've attended the one in Australia, and I've also mentioned to them what happened with my trigeminal neuralgia once I started to take EMULIN. Prior to taking EMULIN, I was prescribed drugs that are usually prescribed for epilepsy, carbamazepine, drugs that are very powerful, and the final drug that I was on is a drug called Lyrica. It was the dosage that I was on was the maximum, and there were many times when in the middle of conversation at the dinner table I would just nod off. It was that powerful a drug. I was introduced to EMULIN by the previous distributor, and I was at a conference in Las Vegas, and Dr. Joe was there, and I mentioned that to him as well, and he kept talking about one of the major benefits of EMULIN was to reduce inflammation. And I figured that, well, maybe if I reduce the inflammation of the nervous system, that might be helpful. And sure enough, after about 3 months, I noticed an enormous change. And in fact, I'm now pain-free. And that's a blessed relief, to be really honest with you. I no longer take any other drugs. And amongst those drugs that I was prescribed was the very, very strong opioids. And I'm sure people would not really want to go down that track. So no opioids, no carbamazepine, no Lyrica, just EMULIN. And EMULIN has been very effective, and I'm so grateful for it.
Thank you, Alan. And we're grateful that you're here, and we just want you to recover really well and take time. And we love you so much. Thank you for sharing that. We love you. All right, we're going to move on to Prince Edward Island, one of our leaders there, and also someone who has been on EMULIN for quite a few years with us. So, Mr. Brian MacArthur, would you unmute yourself and share your story, please?
Thanks, Jana. A little over a year ago, the end of April last year, I was in New York City, actually to some meetings, and I don't remember what happened. All I knew is that I found out within the next 2 days that I badly broke my left arm about 1.5 inches down from the crown of my shoulder. And what happened, it broke the arm all the way through. There was 4 bone chips floating, and there was also a piece of bone from the bottom of the break that was about 1/3 of an inch wide, and it went down my arm about 2.5 inches where it was still attached to my arm, but it was also out a little over 1/4 of an inch from the bone up there. And I got home, that happened on a Saturday night, and I got home on Tuesday. I saw my doctor on Wednesday, and I saw the bone specialist on Friday. And he said it was as bad a break that he had seen. And he said it was the type of break that would have happened if I had been hit by a car. And I don't remember any of it. Whenever it happened, I woke up in the ambulance going to the hospital. But I had been taking the EMULIN at that time for approximately a year, and it had worked wonders with me. I had lost some weight. I had also helped me control, I'm a type 2 diabetic. But when I get home and I went to the bone specialist here, and they took the x-rays here, and they said, we're going to have to do one of two things. We're going to operate on you right now and put screws in and wires and pins, because he said, you're going to need that. And I said, I would rather not, because I know that will hurt. And I'm a wimp. I hate pain. And he said, okay, here's what we will do. We'll put a cast on and we'll try it for 2 weeks and just see what happens. But he said, with what I've seen, I would imagine what will happen is we will have to take that off and then operate. Now, I never told the doctor that I was taking EMULIN. And what happened, when I was in New York, I had EMULIN with me, and I went up, I was taking 5 pills in the morning and 5 pills at night. I really doubled, triple dosed. And it wasn't bothering me all that much. It was sore, but not, you know, it wouldn't have you crying. But the doctor here in Charlottetown said, okay, my wife and I were in his office, and he said, well, put the cast on now. And he said, this is really going to hurt. He said, when I do it, he said, I'm not giving you any painkiller, but he said, I guarantee you that you will. He said, it would not surprise me to see you crying. So we went down, and he put the sock on, and then they wet the cast down and put it on my arm. And the part that was sticking out, he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my hands around it like that and squeeze it back in to where it would reattach to the arm until the cast had hardened, which would take about 8 minutes. And he said, if you want to roar, he said, feel free. He said, no problem, because it is going to hurt. And he did it. It took about almost 10 minutes. And he was looking at me the whole time, and he left, and he said, I want to see you in my office before you leave. And the nurse that was working with him said, how come you didn't yell or anything? Because she said, I've had farmers in here with the same type of break literally crying when he said it. And I told them point blank, I said, I never felt 1 ounce of pain the whole time he was doing it. And by that time, I had been on the EMULIN, taking it, the triple dose, for about a week. And that's the only thing. I never told the doctor until 2 weeks later what I was doing. And when I went back in 2 weeks later and they took x-rays at it, and he took me in the office and he sat me down and he said, what are you taking? And I said, why? And he said, there's something not right here. He said, your arm, that break will take between 3.5 to 4 months up to 6 months to fully heal. He said, right now, he said, the bone is already starting to form where it was broken. And he said, within 2.5 to 3 months, he said, your arm should be completely normal again. And it was. And the thing is, I told him what I was taking. I told him it was what it was and where he could go to check out on PubMed, and also for Dr. Ahrens to check him out. And he did. He'd come back and he said he's quite a guy. And I said, well, why don't you start telling this to some of the people that are, oh, he said, I can't. I'd be fired if I did that. And he said, I can't. But he said, don't ever stop taking that as long as, even after this is healed, don't ever stop taking it. It's too good to be true. And the last thing I want to say is thank you, Doc. Big time appreciate. And I want to tell you, he's got quite a sense of humor. Because when we were sitting in the hotel room waiting to go to the airport to fly home, we were there for about an hour and a half, and he said, we were talking about the arm, and he said, we should run some tests with the EMULIN. He said, we'll see how long this takes to heal and the whole thing. And he said, to run real good tests on this to make sure it works, he said, we have to break your arm 3 more times. And he said, that way we'll know whether we'll use different amounts of EMULIN throughout the whole thing to see if that is what's causing it. I didn't have to, and I wouldn't. But anyway, but again, thank you. And that's my story.
Well, that EMULIN is, it seems like it's a miracle, I know, but it just puts your own body's healing power to work. It got it where it should be. And it's like breaking bones. I mean, I know my own relatives, they break bones or, you know, have all types of sprains, and they just seem to heal so quickly. And it's just because it strengthens your immune system. And that's all immune works from the very beginning, whether it's a cut, a bee sting, or a poison in your body, a bruise. It all starts out with inflammation, but it's not regulated, and it gets out of control, and it's a really sloppy system. But the EMULIN manages that inflammation and directs to your body. It actually telling the little soldiers inside your body how to repair, what to do, when to stop being inflamed. And your body can do a remarkable job of healing itself. It's an amazing machine. So we're very glad we were able to discover this. I keep saying vitamin-like because since 1995, you can't discover any new vitamins. That's just a ruling by most all the governments of the world that if you had discovered vitamin C today, you'd have to classify it as a drug. But all those vitamins we already know, you know, A, D, E, K, and all those, they've been grandfathered in, so they're not called drugs. But if you discover a new one like this, you have to classify it as a drug. So we say vitamin-like, and we talk about a food ingredient that you really are supplementing your body with. And you can't get enough of this, Brian, in your own diet. It doesn't exist anymore. This EMULIN has been bred out of those crops. It's no longer in those dark berries. We have to take a mass of these berries, like 20 pounds worth, just to get it down to enough that you need for one day. And I don't think even you could eat 20 pounds of grapes a day. And also your nervous system, things that pain. That's also a part of your neurology and inflammatory system, and it goes haywire. And that's why you're on these opioids, because they were just trying to calm them down and turn them off. They were not addressing the source of the problem. We've seen where EMULIN can actually resheath nerves so they don't short circuit. People with Parkinson's, the nerves actually get the insulation coming back on them. It's not that EMULIN put the insulation back on them. It's your body that did it. But it's EMULIN that lets your body do it, how it should be done.
Fabulous. Excellent. Thank you for that explanation, Dr. Ahrens. We appreciate it so much. We have so many questions. People are so excited. We have one more testimony that I'd like to share, and that's with Eileen Deerham, who is our RN and one of our great leaders here on Vancouver Island, a dear, dear friend of mine as well. And we've worked together for several years. And I'm just so thrilled that she's able to share her knowledge because she understands everything Dr. Ahrens is explaining very well. So Eileen, would you please unmute?
Thanks, Jana, and almost understand. Dr. Ahrens is the first one that explained some physiology to me that after 10 years of university, I thought, why wasn't he teaching me? It made so much sense when he spoke. It's absolutely amazing, and I am so excited that we have EMULIN, and thank you, Joe. Like, from the bottom of my heart, from every cell in my body, I'm thanking you. My testimony, there's several that I have, but my testimony that I'm going to share tonight is about my son. And many have heard my testimony, but it's worth repeating because it's one of these situations where you have an individual who has different abilities. He's under the spectrum and he's now 22. And we had tons of behavioral issues over the years. So significant that he actually, at one point, the ministry was going to take him and place him in a different place than where I live. So we're in Duncan on Vancouver Island. They were going to move him 45 kilometers away from me, either in Nanaimo or to Victoria. And there was no way I wanted that to happen. My son had these challenges. He was creating chaos in our household because my daughter, who's a year and a half younger than him, was his target. And this girl had to sit and do her homework with me blocking the door. So as he was trying to get in at her, telling her he was going to kill her. So it was absolutely awful, awful stuff that we had to go through. He went into respite 4 nights a week, a different home every night. So people had the ability not to be burnt out, because I knew his behaviors would burn people out. And for 5 years, I kept the same caregivers for him. The ministry thought it was appalling that he was going to different homes, but he thrived in each one of those homes. When he turned 19, we decided to move him into a trailer on my parents' property and put care in there. And the caregivers were consistent. He was going to a program that was consistent. He was having fun in his life. And we added EMULIN. And I didn't know what really was the reason he was doing so well. I thought probably the EMULIN was helping, but I wasn't sure. So after 2.5 years, this past January, we had 4 days without EMULIN. And his behaviors actually went sideways. He became aggressive. He became disrespectful. He actually attacked my nephew, who is one of our caregivers. And I was like, what is going on with this kid? And my nephew realized in that 4-day period that he didn't notice that the new bottle of EMULIN, because we got it through Dr. Joe's ATM site, was EMULIN, and he didn't give it. So we got him back on the EMULIN, and things settled again. When we all went to Vegas, we had run out of EMULIN. I had ordered it from the site. It hadn't arrived before I left. And so my son was about 2 weeks without EMULIN. And things went really sideways for his behavior again, to the point where the program that he was in that I created, they were looking at asking him to leave. And they were looking at behavioral consultants coming in and trying to figure out what is going on for this kid. And as soon as I got back from Vegas, I got the EMULIN to him. We started giving him 4 caps a day, which I think works out to about 1,000 milligrams, Dr. Joe, if I'm right. And he has been getting 4 caps a day since then. And within, again, 4 days, I started getting text messages from people that work with him saying, what have you done? This kid is more settled. He is happy again. He's integrating. And as a mom who's gone through the ups and downs and trials and tribulations with their son that has, significant behavioral issues, I have some PTSD. When he acts sideways, it's challenging for me because I'm scared. Excuse the term here. I'm scared shitless, because basically his behavior could put him in jail at some point. And so the fact that nothing else had changed except we ran out of EMULIN, I know absolutely now that EMULIN has made a difference in his life, and he will never be without it again, ever. And I just saw a post come up about ADD. My son has ADD as well. This is a product that doesn't cure things, but it helps the body get back to homeostasis. It helps our body do what it needs to do. And stop asking if it's going to help with certain things. We all need it. And there's, like, basically Sam just put up from womb to tomb. Absolutely. We all need it. And I have seen so many individuals improve their life because of this product. I used to wake up 2.5 years ago, before I was on EMULIN, and I was like an old lady getting out of bed. My feet hurt, my back hurt, everything hurt. And in November, I actually got run over by a horse and broke my back, broke all L1, and worst pain I'd ever been in. But between EMULIN and the Max, I came out of that with hardly having any pain and no repercussions from having a broken back. So I think everyone needs to try it. You need to understand that it may not happen overnight for you. Some people it's 4.5 months before you actually see some changes. But how long did it get you to have those inflammatory conditions before? I mean, this has been a lifelong thing that's been happening to your body, and you need to give this product time to work. And I'm now 2.5 years in, I've added the 24/7, and I'm getting even more benefits. So, you know, skin tightening, cellulite disappearing, and, you know, waking up with more energy than I ever thought I could at 54 years old. So happy it's part of Valentis, and I am so happy for everyone on this call that's going to be trying EMULIN, and for everyone that we share it with.
Thank you, Eileen. And I just have to say, you know, I've known Eileen, we've worked together, and we were strangers. We met several years ago, and we have become the closest friends. But I have to tell you, Eileen, you look younger and younger and younger every single time I see you. You're just glowing. I feel like you have reverse aged already about 15 years since I met you.
It's funny, someone asked me, what am I doing to reverse my aging the other day.
It's true. It's absolutely true. When I look at a picture of you from 3 years, 4 years ago, and today, wow, you just look fantastic. You look like you and your daughter look like sisters. You're welcome. All right, so we have some questions. So what I'm going to ask you to do is please unmute yourself and ask the question. That will be the fastest way. So, you know, whoever is ready, just get started right away. I know, Sam, you have had a question about M and C. So if you want to start.
I have a question. My husband has lymphedema from having cancer from like 15 years ago, and he has nerve damage that has caused him to lose all the use in his left arm and hand. Would this help it?
Yes, it will. Again, your body does want to repair itself, and with the EMULIN, it will help it do it to its best of its ability. Now, there is absolutely, if you go past a certain damage, you can't recover. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. You have enough nerve damage, tissue that has died or calloused over, that may not be able to recover. But what I can tell you is you will be the best you can be. You will see some improvement for sure. How much? It depends on how much the damage was already there. Some things are irreversible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
I had a quick question.
Yes,
Well, my husband has had diabetes for the last 15 years. I haven't heard any testimonies about the diabetes. Is there somebody that does have a testimonial on if it's reversed it, or the A1C been reduced from a high number to a lower number?
Brian, why don't you come ahead and talk about that?
I've been a type 2 diabetic for about 15 years. And when I started the EMULIN, it really took my readings down from about, I'm from Canada, so I was running around 10 to 12. It took me down into the 7 to 9. It took my A1C from about 9, where I should have been on insulin, but it took it down to in the mid 5s to low 6s. And as long as I watch my diet, I have no problem. And when the 24/7 come on, it further took my blood sugars down quite a bit more also. So it's a good combination. They are different. There's very little, I don't know, I could be talking wrongly when I say this, Dr. Joe, but the EMULIN and the 24/7 are different. They complement each other extremely well. And you want to get looking younger like Eileen is, you get on both of them and max out. And God, look out for you. Off to the races.
Our original human studies were with type 2 diabetics. It's a published study in the Journal of Medicinal Foods where people within a week started becoming non-diabetic. We also had a type 1 diabetic study, but it was done just on rats, type 1 diabetic rats. And they also actually started producing their own insulin. So we have good evidence on type 1, and we have absolutely proof on type 2. Dr. Ralph DeFranco, who's the leading researcher in type 2 diabetes, and he is the inventor of medicine, says right on our own website that this product, if taken consistently, has a potential to reduce or eliminate type 2 diabetes. And you ought to see that change. If you're monitoring your blood sugar, you ought to see that change in less than a week, 4 days or so. It will take you longer depending on what the actual cause of your diabetes is. It could be a month. I've seen 30 days take some people, but most people respond within a week.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Ahrens. Would you be able to give a quick overview of the M and the C and who should take it and why?
Okay, the M is for most people. M for most, no, M is for maintenance. This is what is missing out of most people's diets is the M. And I suggest everyone, that's the one you take it. Unless you have concerns of high blood sugar, then you should take the C. And C stands for control of blood sugars. We just call them M and C. M for maintenance for everybody, but C for people who have concerns with high blood sugar. The reason is that EMULIN actually will cause triglycerides, which are little proto-fat molecules, triglycerides and glucose to leak out of your fat tissue and get back into your bloodstream, and then it causes that glucose to be put into your muscle and brain tissue and burned up. And that's why people report that they're losing weight, is because it actually does reduce fat tissue. However, when that glucose leaks out of the fat tissue, your blood sugar rises. So we made C to have less of the component that causes that. So you won't lose as much weight on C, but you will not have any issues with high blood sugar. If you just took an EMULIN M by itself without eating anything, your blood sugar will go up a few points. That's because the glucose is leaking out of your fat tissue into your bloodstream. So, and yeah, you're happy to lose weight and feel more energetic. But because if you have a concern for blood sugar levels, use the C.
Excellent, thank you. And Sam, do you have a question, or would you like, I'm trying to go through the feed. There's so much here, it's hard to.
Hey, Jana.
Yes.
I'm here, and it's super dark. I had to run away from my grandson.
No worries.
So Dr. Joe explained the difference between the M and the C. So if somebody who has a diabetic in the family, but the other person doesn't, are they both safe to use the C to help with inflammation?
Yes, anybody can use C, no problem at all. You just won't lose quite as much weight. If you're concerned about it, you won't lose quite as much weight with the C. Everyone can take the C.
Okay, so that's just for inflammation. Okay, good to know. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jana.
Thanks, Sam. All right, is there anyone else? We have a question, I've just run across one here from Patricia. Does it help rheumatoid arthritis and lupus? I'm assuming it would.
Yes, absolutely it will. Those both are autoimmune diseases, and it's because your body has a runaway inflammation. You're not just chronic, but you have acute inflammation, and your body actually starts attacking its own joints, and there's also issues with the nervous fibers. So if you get that inflammation under control, we have absolute reports of no longer having arthritis, no longer needing knee replacement surgery, and also reduce lupus. I know that that was one of the very first side effects we saw was reduction in lupus.
Wonderful. That's excellent. We have another question here that was really interesting. Okay, let's see.
Can I ask a question real quick, Jenna?
Yes, go right ahead, Claudia.
Just what is the starting dosage? What would you recommend somebody starting off with?
If somebody has with whatever it is, a broken bone like Brian, or diabetes, or arthritis, or terrible colds, hay fever, I would double the dosage. Right now we want around 500 to 750 milligrams a day for maintenance. If you have, and if it's something severe like compound fractures you're dealing with, go ahead and triple it. You cannot overdose on this product. Eliminate it through the urine, or it'll migrate to your skin if you have too much. There's not any trouble at all. Kids and dogs. Again, 500 milligrams, that's a good dose for a day for maintenance. Everything's under control. You're just staying healthy. But if you are a performance athlete, or if you've got diabetes, arthritis, etc., go ahead and double or triple it.
I forgot to mention, Jenna, about the skin piece. My son has horrible acne, or had horrible acne, and that was one of the reasons we increased the dose of EMULIN, and that's totally settled down as well because it comes through the skin. And Dr. Joe, can you maybe talk about the effects on the skin with the sun and EMULIN?
Well, the excess EMULIN, after the inside of your body has used it up, it will migrate to your skin, and there it will also take care of inflammation. A lot of things like acne, again, what's here? Inflammation. Also sunburn. Sunburn is an inflammatory response also. What happens is you have UV radiation that comes in and that strikes your skin. Hydrogen peroxide is produced, and the hydrogen peroxide is what starts the inflammatory pathway. So that EMULIN that happens to be in your skin stops that hydrogen peroxide from being produced, as well as it calms down the inflammatory response. So there are actually plenty that take EMULIN, no more sun, pink or red from the, don't have the resulting sunburn the next day. They're not cooked. So it will, and there's a lot of else going on in there too. It will actually shift the UV rays so that they are not as much damaging. They work like little shock absorbers, little springs, to prevent the damage from the rays. And so that's generally in the aging part. It will also help elastin underneath your skin. That's why people are saying they look more youthful, they have less, their skin doesn't sag as much. Elastin is the rubber band that holds our skin together underneath the outer layer. And you can get very youthful looking skin, and you know you do look much younger. I didn't know you several years ago, but probably this is how you should look. That's, it hasn't done anything to you. Body be healthy, and your skin, and also, yes, you'll notice your hair is better. Your body gets where it should be.
Excellent. Dr. Ahrens, could you quickly, before we sign off for this evening, would you please share why the 24/7 layered with the EMULIN is producing such astonishing results too? We've just noticed so many things, and you know.
24/7 is this brand new product we came out for with Valentis about a month or so ago, 2 months ago, and it was focused on weight management. So it is, and also EMULIN has some weight management properties to it. The main technology, EMULIN, and then we optimize these new products that we're bringing out will specific concerns such as weight management. We're probably going to have one in the future that arthritis, pain. I know one's coming out in the summer for mental, brain health, but they're not actually the fuels, the same compounds in it. They're all natural, but the ones we selected for the 24/7 to the ones in EMULIN, but they're not the same ones. So they work at a little, they're still supporting your body's health. Just so happens that 24/7 is more management and sleep and less anxiety and less tension. And the EMULIN is on inflammation. It's its main story, inflammation and control of blood sugar. Together, you're covering a broader range of your body's issues. And actually, yes, I guess the new product, you could just keep adding and adding. Of course, eventually there's going to be so much overlap, it won't make any difference. I tell you, the first three that we've come out with, I'd recommend people take the 24/7 and Brain Formula.
Excellent, excellent. Well, everyone, Eileen and I have to hop on to another call in a little bit, so we're going to close off for the evening. What I'd like to do now is to thank Dave and Joyce Jordan so much for, you know, being so incredible to their entire V family by considering this option of bringing Dr. Ahrens over and promising us and delivering. So with that, we're just so grateful to Dave and Joyce, and I just know that the future of Valentis is definitely already a legacy. You did it. You all did it this weekend, and congratulations to you, and I'm excited for our future. So have a great week, and we'll be in touch again. Bye for now. Good night, everyone. Good night, Dr. Ahrens. Thank you. Thank you, Eileen, Alan Grant. Thank you, Brian MacArthur. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.